What's happening, everybody? Sean, joined by my son, Trey, and it is that time of year, annual top 10 album draft 2024 this time. If you've never joined us before, first of all, where you been? And secondly, we have these up from every year from 1965
That's right.
to right now. 3 years ago at the time of this filming in 2022, we started doing this. So go back. It's going to be a playlist. Go back and check that out for your own leisure. So if you've never been with us, you don't know how this works. It's snake draft style. Trey, you got the first pick this year. I go 2, 3. He goes 4, 5. So sometimes our top 5 albums might overlap, but we can't pick the same thing. So that's how we're going to get to 10. And I'm going to give you just a little quick thing. 4 years ago, we let the community members vote on the top 100 albums of all time. Well, it's time to revisit that, guys. So we're gonna put the information down below. We're gonna do a quick video too on that. But you can send us your list, and we will be compiling that. So just keep that in mind. But without further ado, this man has the first pick. So
let's get to it, man. I'm always excited for the draft time.
I am too.
And I listened to quite a lot of albums this year, but there's still some that went through my grasp.
Well, you're a hard-working man. You can't listen to all of them.
But hey, man, I think overall that pretty solid year for music. As far as just a bunch of different genres, had a lot of cool musical movements and whatnot. And speaking of that top 100 list. An album that is definitely going to be in contention for me. It's the second album from the, they're hard to even pin down on the genre. Electronic, with rock, pop elements. It's going to be Magdalena Bay's Imagine a Disc, my number one, easy. I got this thing at 5 stars right here.
Wow.
I listened to it more than any other album. I saw Magdalena Bay in concert this year.
You did?
Top 3 concert I've ever been to.
High praise out here.
And they played this album in full. It was exceptional. There's just banger after banger here, from Image to Death and Romance to maybe my song of the year, the closer, The Ballad of Matt and Mika. And they're really kind of blowing up a little bit, like not mainstream, but
maybe this will do it for me.
Yeah, dude. Hey, man, don't forget me, Magdalena Bay. But the production on here is stellar. Got kind of a little, concept, so to speak, as well. And I love this thing. Great fusion of genres, and I think it's even a step up from an album I had in my 2021 top albums list, Mercurial World. So they've been on my radar here for a few years, and it's cool to see them blow up. And man, love this album.
Yeah, I had them honorable mention. It's funny you talked about the genre, because I was telling your sister about it, and she asked me, well, what genre are they? And I'm like, you know what? Let me just play a little bit of this.
Yeah.
But the production is on point. I imagine it was great in person. Well, Trey, you said there was a lot of good albums this year, and I agree with you. I think there's a lot of good albums. You think there's a great album, obviously. You just shared that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any great albums. And so my top really 7 or 8 albums, you could almost just hit, I'm looking here, really my top 9, just kind of hit a button and shuffle them. And I wouldn't argue with you a whole lot on it. But my top album, and I don't listen to near as much music as you. I listened to 47 albums from 2024, and I listened to all of them. I listened to all of them in a 2-week span. So remember, I've only listened to most of these albums once. This was an album I actually went back to when I was done with this and listened to it another time to make sure I was right. This in my number 2 and my number 6. I wanted to make sure I was right. So we got Waxahatchee, Tiger's Blood, fantastic.
Nice.
Katie Crutchfield, their 6th album, hers, but she's got more people on. 12 songs, 43 minutes, right in that sweet zone. Right back to it with MJ Linderman, who is going to appear elsewhere on this countdown for me.
Nice.
Is the keeper song there, but it's all really, really well done. Did you listen to this album?
Dude, this is one I did not listen to.
Not trying to put you on the spot. Yeah, I get it.
I like when we do these drafts, because we both have stuff that that's I think the point of these lists. Whatever you look, it's like, oh, this is something I need to check out. What kind of? I mean, I've heard some Waxahatchee stuff before. Am I tripping to say it's like singer songwriter folky or no?
No, it is. It's they're classified as Americana right now, or Grammy nominated for Americana, but. My favorite current artist, Springsteen's my favorite all-time artist, but Jason Isbell's one of my top probably 5 favorite artists of all time. He's classified as Americana and won Grammys there, and it's like, is he? That's kind of a catch-all.
The genre blending,
But, really well done, and not a hugely popular album. But the way I do it is I look at all the critics lists, and if a song's on the critics list, or an album's on the critics list, especially Metacritic, which takes off, then the album's usually good. You can like critics, hate them, but if it's on every critics list, it's probably pretty good. And the next album I have was on every critics list almost. The Lemon Twigs, A Dream Is All We Know.
Right.
12 songs, 34 minutes. You could put this on and convince anybody this was made in 1968. Like this album absolutely has that sound. It is fantastic. I don't even think there's a standout because most of the songs basically sound the same, which not in a bad way, but that album is fantastic.
Well, and even got the 60s clip, right? 12 songs, 34
minutes.
Yeah,
exactly. 100%.
We're getting in a few minutes.
100%.
And, yeah, man, Lemon Twig's a really strong band. I know this was high on a lot of lists, so not surprised to see it up there for you, Dad. So I like those picks, man. Going to my next pick, it's going to be the artist who, you could argue there were a couple people who maybe were the artists of 2024. For me, I think it's one of my favorite artists of all time, Mr. Kendrick Lamar. Of course, I think the biggest music story of the year was him against Drake.
I don't think it's even close, right?
Because that crossed over from just a hip hop beef to everyone was talking about it in the summer.
And you were putting out a bunch of tweets about how you like Drake more, so that's a crazy thing. I was like, what?
This was great. Drake's been a cornball for many years.
Let's go, baby.
I was glad to hear that Kendrick destroyed this man, and then, of course, Not Like Us became probably the song of the year.
It did.
Kendrick was going to be performing the Super Bowl in February and then going off into a world tour.
Which you're going to.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited for that. Him and SZA selling out stadiums. Yeah. And then, he just surprised dropped on a random Friday in late November his sixth album, G and X. And yeah, man, that's going to be my number 2 album right here. Shorter than most Kendrick albums and not as conceptually dense, which I've seen some people kind of complaining. But I think, again, there is a concept there in the sense he really leans dead into that West Coast sound, especially of, kind of the 90s and even some of the West Coast R&B type stuff. He features a lot of artists from the West Coast scene on there, gives a shine to lesser known people, and he's got a couple of bangers too with SZA on there. My favorites are going to be Whacked Out Murals. Reincarnated is great.
Reincarnated is great.
He goes on a Pac beat and, again, kind of I think it's one of his best songs, actually goes on a lot of different perspectives, even at one point talks to like God and the devil, like kind of, which way is he going to go and the influence there. And then TV Off, been an absolute banger. And Squabble Up, which went number 1. Yeah, man, love Kendrick, classic artist.
I wonder how well he's thought of around here. Right here, man, this is, we have our favorites on this, and he's right there. I listen to this album, but I got to say, I talked about it at the start, except for a few of these albums. There's a few of these albums I've listened to more than once, but this one I only listened to once. And you can't listen to a Kendrick album just once, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, man.
I really did think it was really good. I had it, I had them honorable mentions, but what do you have at number 3?
Dude, and number 3, probably the other person who made, you could argue the biggest splash this year, up there, because it was a brat summer. We got Charli XCX. Up here, and I gotta admit, man, I've heard most of Charli's stuff, and honestly, I thought she was a little overrated. So I say all that to say I didn't even have the highest expectations for this album, but she definitely won me over with this record, man. Club Classics, one of my favorite songs of the year, 360, 365, and it's kind of got, again, that electro pop, dance type of vibe to it, which again usually isn't my jam, and so again, I think that is even more evidence of the fact that she came out with a banger right here. And even came out with a deluxe edition, which remixed with a bunch of heavy hitters, man. Everyone from Billie Eilish to...
Yeah, everybody wanted to get involved.
Yeah. So, man, that's going to be my 3rd pick here.
That album, I talked to you guys about Metacritic. If you are in the top 5 of Metacritic for any year, you are absolutely critically acclaimed because it's everyone. That album is the number 1 album on Metacritic.
It's everywhere at the top.
Yeah, so. It is. I listened to it. I thought it was good. It was in my honorable mentions. See, I don't know what Trey's going to say. I have mine up here on the screen. I have no idea what he's saying, so I'm as enthralled as you are. All right, my number 3 is Fontaines DC, their album good Romance. Record. This album is fantastic. Whole album's good. Grind's firing on all cylinders. Favorite and Starburster are my faves. I think this one is a little more commercially appeal to a more of a wide stream audience a little bit with Fontaines DC. I don't think they really care, but I thought it was awesome. My 4th pick, which if you watched all these, it's not a surprise, but hey, it wasn't number 1. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Right. Wild God. This is one of the albums when it did come out on August 31st that I listened to on repeat, but I hadn't listened to it in a couple of months. So it was fun to go back and do I like this as much as I thought? Look, I say this all the time if you watch these. Nick Cave is brilliant.
Oh, 100%, man. One of the greatest songwriters, I'd say, ever.
Of ever. I was going to say one of the top 10 songwriters of all time, and has been doing it for over 40 years. And if you liked Ghosteen and Carnage, his previous two albums, like they were very down albums because the son died and then another son died. This album is an in-between. It's down, but then it also brings you up. And it's just got some incredible tracks on here. But the arrangement on it, it's like there is some first-class musicians. You and I actually got to see him a little over a year ago in concert. It was just him, his piano, and the great Johnny Greenwood on bass. But would love to see him come here, but he's not coming to our area. So, Nick, if you're watching this, and I'm sure you are, try to work a Dallas thing in there. But comes with my highest recommendation. You got to be in the right mood to throw any of these last 3 or 4 albums on, Nick.
And I mean, I enjoyed this album for sure. I don't think I've not enjoyed any Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds album. I didn't revisit it a ton, even though I did rank it pretty high myself. But I see, why you have it on the list, and I think its spot is deserved right there for sure.
All right, well, here you go.
Going into my final 2 picks, man. I'm going for my 4th pick, a little sludge metal here, a group called Chat Pile.
I saw them on some lists. I did not listen to them.
Yeah, man. And again, that's not the genre I put on.
No, I know.
Normally, but their album Cool World is their second release. They're actually formed, I believe, in 2019, just a little north of us in Oklahoma City. Not necessarily a hotbed of music per se.
No, not really.
But I was a big fan of their debut album, so I was looking forward to this one, and it definitely delivered, man. If you're looking for heaviness, a little darkness, if you're looking for something to maybe set a personal best to at the gym, put this album on, man. All right. The intensity of the vocals, without going into, some people are turned off by, this isn't like screaming death metal type stuff, but just the guitar riffs are heavy and just wash over you. So I'm a big fan. I wouldn't mind seeing those guys live one day. And my final is going to be from, I think, one of the best songwriters of the 21st century here, both in her solo work and her work with Big Thief. I'm, of course, talking about Adrienne Linker, and going with her album Bright Future, Sadness as a Gift, one of my favorite songs of the year. And I feel Adrienne, I was a big fan of her album Songs from a few years back, and I feel she kept that quality up right here today, and has a way of really just talking and writing about the human condition, both the good and not so good parts of it, and being able to connect that to the listener. So big fan of that album.
That was on my honorable mention. Really good album. It's near the top on a lot of people's list. My final album is The Smile. Wall of Eyes, Tom York and the boys. Excellent. It's 8 tracks. It's very atmospheric. It's very Radioheady, which you would expect with 2 of the 3 members there. But it's a fantastic album. I had not listened to a Smile album. They came out with another album later this year, which is a lot of Kid A Amnesiac, and the fact that it's just leftover tracks from Wall of Eyes.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I was a big fan of this one too, Dad. I'm glad it made your list. And honestly, I feel that Radiohead's done, man. I feel we might just be on the Smile vibe right here.
They might very well be in it. I mean, this album's very similar. You could put it on and go, it's Radiohead. Now, obviously, with York on there as vocals, you could say that about a lot of them, but it has that same atmosphere. So I definitely enjoyed it. Now, Trey, because I have all those albums, I'm going to have a ton of honorable mentions. Do you have honorable mentions?
I do, yes.
You want to do yours first?
All right, yeah. Let me rock and roll. Zach Bryan, The Great American Bar
He's on mine. A fantastic album. Some critics didn't like it. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The Cure, Songs in a Lost World.
On mine, too. I want to comment on that real quick. It's towards a lot of people's tops. I love The Cure. I thought it was really good, but I didn't think it was great. I thought there were too long of instrumental runs on a lot of the songs. I know that's the thing, but it was on almost every one of them. I still think it's fantastic someone this age doing it. Yeah. And they did actually record almost all of this album in 2019 before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So, but it's fantastic. And I know you and Mackenzie saw The Cure last year and thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, I got to see a couple of those songs live before, obviously, the album dropped. Yeah. So that was cool. My boy, Charlie Crockett, $10 Cowboy, one of the most consistent artists of the past decade. If you like old school, I'm talking, Waylon, Johnny Cash, old school 60s, 70s country, check out, the local man himself, Charlie Crockett, put on probably my second favorite concert this year that I got to go to, too. Foxing, self-titled, a group called Frico with Where We've been where we go from here. Little hip hop vibe with Denzel Curry's Kings of the Mischievous South Volume 2. Denzel's Never Missed. Future and Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You. JPEG Mafia, I Lay Down My Life for You. Lupe Fiasco, another talented MC with Samurai. MGMT still putting out some solid quality tunes with their album Loss of Life. Got to shout out my boys Touche Amore, Spiral in a Straight Line.
Trey, they were on 2 Critics Top 20 was that album.
Let's
was.
go,
I was
man.
like, yeah, it's my boy Trey's.
Hey, yeah, one of my favorite bands. And then Tyler, the Creator's Chromacopia is rounding out my honorable
It's a
mentions.
really good album.
Yeah.
I listened to that. All right, my honorable mentions, it almost made the list. This album I rated very low, and I went back and listened to it again. Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet.
Man.
Not something that I would listen to, but it's 12 tracks. 3 of them are produced by Jack Antonoff, and she sounds a lot like Taylor Swift on those. But if you like this type of music, and you talked about with Chat Pile, right? It's not your type of music, but we're trying to be objective here, not subjective. If you like this kind of music, I can see why she got over this year. Father John Misty, and
another guy that doesn't miss.
No, he doesn't miss. Professional musicianship all the way through. Got his entire catalog up except for this album. Mosh Hash Moshana. I can't. It is a song called that, and I could do it if I was listening to it. Jessica Pratt, Here in the Pitch. The Vaccines, Pickup Full of Pink Carnations. This album is fantastic. Most critics hated it. Okay, I just love this album. If you want something where you don't got to think a lot and just vibe, hooray for the Riff Raff. Very, very good album. The Past is Still Alive. They're opening for Bright Eyes here in February. I still can't decide if I want to pony up the money for it or not. MJ Linderman, I mentioned him earlier. He's on the Waxahatchee. This album's fantastic. Manning Fireworks. He's playing here in a club called Tulips in Fort Worth. I've thought about going. I don't know. Frank Turner, my boy. He's one of my favorite artists, Undefeated.
Yeah.
I saw him in concert this year. It was great. A name that, I think we got to say it. Mannequin
Come
Pussy.
on now.
I Got Heaven, a great album. Vampire Weekend, Only God Was Above Us.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, also not my thing. I've seen Ariana in concert back in 2019 for my daughter Mackenzie, who does not like her now. Eternal Sunshine, very well done. And Ariana's voice is one of the best around. Heinz, a Spanish garage band.
Ooh, I got to check this out.
Viva Heinz, it's fantastic. Peter Parrott, The Cleansing, got a song battle on here. Shout out to our patron, T Super. He brought him to my attention. Beth Gibbons, Lives Outgrown. It's about aging. It's about losing friends. It's a very, very heavy album, but fantastic. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. I'm going to say this. If you're a Beyonce fan, they're going to come after me. This album's fine. This album's 27 tracks, which, Trey, is absolutely ridiculous.
Got to get those streaming numbers up.
That's exactly why they do it. The world of Spotify, that's why they do it. The longer it is, the more you're going to listen, the more the income comes up, and you push them up the charts. You can tell the songs on this album that don't belong there, that would have got cut out. It's not a bad album. Jack White, No Name. Richard Thompson, 74 years old when he records this. Ship to Shore, fantastic. The guy, I always hate to say his name, Michael Kiwanuka, Small Changes, also professional musicianship. Every single song produced so well. His voice is fantastic. Kim Deal, Nobody Loves You More. Bright Eyes, I mentioned him earlier, 5 Dice, All Threes. Laura Marling, Patterns and Repeat. Casey Musgraves, Deeper Well. And finally, St. Vincent, All Born Screaming. As the last several years have been, female solo artists dominate our charts. We need to know what you guys think.
Yeah, 100%, man. Let us know your list, top 5, 10, whatever you got down below. Always like seeing that. And there's some on here that, again, just slipped through the cracks, so to speak, that I still need to check out. But also, y'all, if you want to contribute to our list of top 100 albums all time, just send us your top 50 as well. You can either comment down below, send us an email, whatever,
Find us on Facebook, Instagram.
So, man, another year in the books, Dad, and we'll see what 2025 has in store for us as well, as we're already cruising through this decade somehow.
We are, man. It goes quick. All right, guys, as always, thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, give the thumbs up, and give us your favorites. You don't got to do 10. Do whatever you want. You can do 20. You can do 2. I don't care. All right, guys, until next time, we will
see you.